So the external jugular vein, the internal jugular vein's the main one. So that's where I screwed up on this. It always gets me, the veins. That's just a pattern. Internal, then external jugular vein and subclavian vein. It's all going to come together in a right and left brachiocephalic veins. And you only have one brachiocephalic artery. The internal jugular vein drains the majority of the blood from the brain. The vertebral artery veins just bring back blood from muscles in the neck, things like that. Not really much from the brain. Okay. Now, some of these veins are deep and some are superficial. So really, as you go through the chapter and look at it, it's just a few pages, they'll tell you which ones are deep and which ones are superficial. So the brachial vein, which is heading on the posterior, the back of your upper limb, that's going to split into the radial and ulnar veins. Those are deep. What's superficial are going to be the cephalic and basilic veins. And there's also this median vein of the forearm. So that's all superficial. Everything else is sort of deep. Now for your thoracic region, what's draining this region, you have a couple strange veins here that are worth looking at or pointing out. On the right side of your thoracic cavity is something called the azygos vein. The zygos vein either passes in the front of the vertebral bodies, so it's right here, or it's on the right side. On the left side, you have the hemiazygos vein, draining some parts of your thoracic cavity, and then superior is the accessory hemiazygos vein. And you can see how the accessory hemiazygos vein, it's a superior continuation of the hemiazygos vein. These two dump into the zygos vein. So your thoracic region, and there's these small bronchial veins returning blood from lung tissue, not pulmonary circulation, just the lungs themselves supplied with blood. That's all going to dump into the superior vena cava. So you have this weird azygos vein on the right side, then hemiazygos vein and accessory hemiazygos veins. So all the different arteries that brought blood down, the veins are returning it all up. So the cephalic and the basilic veins, they're kind of bringing blood in from your dorsal venous plexus on the back of your hand. They're bringing blood back, but then they wrap around to the anterior forearm and head up the anterior humerus, and they're superficial. So they form anastomoses a lot. You have the median cubital vein, which is a good spot to do blood or IV fluids. But a lot of these veins are a good spot to draw from. You have to be careful, like I said, because hit shallow, because the median nerve is underneath there. There's a large artery as well, and the insertion for the biceps brachii. So you have to be careful inserting into the median cubital vein to go shallow, or you could hit the median nerve, could hit a major artery, or hit the insertion of biceps brachii. Okay, so thoracic region, there's hepatic veins. They are returning blood from the liver. Renal veins, and you have gonadal veins, all that. Okay, so your lower limb, these are all deep veins. The only superficial veins is going to be the great saphenous, and it says it's superficial. And there's this small saphenous vein. There is a fibular vein deep in the back. anterior and posterior tibial veins. So returning blood from your foot. The great saphenous vein is the longest vein in your body. When you need a coronary bypass because you have coronary arteries are blocked, and so they basically attach, graft on a new blood vessel to bring blood to your heart. A bypass, they cut a piece out of the saphenous vein and then attach it up on your heart. That's a coronary bypass. So they take a piece out of this great saphenous vein. So this great saphenous vein, it's superficial. It's all along the medial aspect of your lower limb. Lateral aspect, you have the small saphenous vein. Okay, these other veins are deep. So the femoral vein's deep, changes its name to popliteal. Okay. We're going to have anterior tibial vein moves forward, fibular vein, and we have the posterior tibial vein. So they're all deep veins. As you go through the veins on the list and look at it and read about it in the book, it brings a lot of things into context. The book's actually not as confusing as usual for this section. Okay, so the hepatic portal system. Like I said, blood from your digestive organs is not ready to be sent to circulation. It has to be sent to the liver first. So it's a specialized part of your vascular circuit. Hepatic portal system picks up whatever is being absorbed in your intestines, and your stomach absorbs things too, like booze. Alcohol gets absorbed in your stomach. So everything has to go to the liver to be processed. It's not ready to go in your circulation yet. Okay, so what we have with the hepatic portal system, we have two capillary beds. It's a set of two capillary beds, and you'll see what that image looks like in a second. The first capillary bed is in your stomach and intestines. So very little absorption actually happens in your stomach except for alcohol. Okay. Your small intestine is all about absorbing everything. Your large intestine absorbs very little. Your large intestine reclaims water. What happens when water is not being reclaimed by your large intestine? Well, you'll have to watch Dave Chappelle, one of his skits about diarrhea. Okay, so large intestine, pick up water. Small intestine, absorbing everything, nutrients. So your small intestine is full of capillaries. It's all about it. So the capillary beds pick up goodies, and basically like the splenic vein, superior mesenteric vein, and inferior mesenteric vein are bringing back blood. The superior mesenteric vein supplies your proximal parts of your large intestine and all of the small. The inferior mesenteric vein supplies your rectum and distal colon. Splenic vein, yeah, it's bringing back blood from your spleen and also blood from your stomach. Okay, so let's look at what this looks like. Here it goes. So arterial blood heads on over via the gastric vein, splenic vein, superior mesenteric vein, inferior mesenteric vein to digestive viscera. And the spleen. The spleen is not for digestion. The spleen is friends with the immune system. So the blood goes out to the spleen and these digestive viscera. So in your stomach and your intestines, nutrients and toxins are absorbed. So that's the first capillary bed. So the superior and inferior mesenteric veins and the splenic vein are going to feed into this hepatic portal vein, which goes to the liver. In the liver, there's a second capillary bed. In fact, they're sinusoids, those the leakiest of all. There, your hepatocytes, your liver cells, detoxify any toxins that came in. And whatever you ate, all the different biological macromolecules, they need to be processed. And sugar gets stored, glucose gets stored in your liver. So hepatocytes, that's their job, process what you ate. Now, blood is going to return via the hepatic veins to the inferior vena cava and enter your circulation. So it's two capillary beds. The first one picked up all the junk. Everything was sent via the hepatic portal vein to your liver, for your hepatocytes to process things. So that's where the second capillary bed is, the liver sinusoids. And there's hepatic veins that dump into the inferior vena cava. Whatever you do, don't confuse hepatic veins, which drain the blood supply of the liver, with the hepatic portal vein. They are not the same. Hepatic veins drain the liver. Hepatic portal vein feeds the liver. Well, actually it doesn't. The hepatic portal vein gives the liver whatever it is you absorbed. The liver itself has hepatic arteries. The hepatic arteries are what feed the liver itself. It needs arterial blood. But what it's getting, let's say, sent to liver. What feeds the liver is hepatic arteries. So that's the hepatic portal system. Okay, the tributaries, veins of the hepatic portal vein. Superior mesenteric vein, inferior mesenteric vein, and the gastric vein from your stomach. Also the splenic vein. Your spleen, okay, your kidneys filter your blood, adjust your blood chemistry. Your spleen filters your blood for pathogens and also destroys, well, worn out red blood cells are destroyed in the spleen. So the spleen filters your blood, but immune function. Kidneys, chemistry, and eliminate chemical waste. Your spleen, basically you have immune cells in there to deal with bacteria and stuff like that. Your liver will deal with microbes as well. So the splenic vein, any microbes that escape detection in the spleen have a second chance to be destroyed in your liver. Your liver has immune cells in it. Your liver does a ridiculous amount of functions. And it's also an accessory digestive organ. So these are the tributaries: superior and inferior mesenteric vein, splenic vein, gastric vein. So we all have arteries going out to all that stuff, and now we have veins. But they aren't going to come back and just jump into the inferior vena cava. They're going to have to go via the hepatic portal vein to the liver. They will not go to the vena cava. So here we have it. Gastric veins, splenic vein coming all the way from the spleen, inferior mesenteric vein, superior mesenteric vein. All feed into the hepatic portal vein. Okay. That's going to split, goes into the liver. Now the hepatic veins drain the liver into the inferior vena cava. So that's a hepatic portal system. So the superior mesenteric vein, okay, your superior mesenteric artery supplies all of your small intestine. The inferior mesenteric artery supplies just your distal colon and your rectum. If we go all the way back here, here you can see the 4 hepatic veins. Those are draining the liver, going to the inferior vena cava. Any questions on the hepatic portal vein? No? Yes? Okay. Well, you can have something called portal hypertension. Let's suppose you really like alcohol. The more of it you drink, the more your hepatocytes adapt to deal with the alcohol toxin. But one day, you might do more than your hepatocytes can handle. And so they're done. And you get portal hypertension. So degeneration of the hepatocytes, or you can have fibrosis happens. So what happens is when your hepatocytes are trashed, your liver's trashed, the liver sinusoids are blocked. So the blood from the portal veins not able to get into the liver. So you end up with emergency anastomoses. Emergency redirects because the hepatic portal veins shut down. So you get emergency anastomoses. So the portal blood's going to go to veins of your inferior esophagus, your hemorrhoidal veins, which are down in planet Uranus, and veins in your superficial abdominal wall. Okay, so the inferior esophagus, while this blood is being sent through all these veins that wasn't really meant to go to. So if you really like alcohol, a whole bunch, you can get esophageal hemorrhaging in the inferior esophagus. So that's an emergency. Everyone likes hemorrhoids. Superficial abdominal wall. How about a bunch of swollen veins down on your lower abdomen? Like varicose veins bulging out. So it's not a pretty picture. Don't like alcohol too much. Or you can get these emergency anastomoses for hepatic portal blood, places it should never be sent.